But I always contest with him that, look, dude, no matter how many times you tell people what to do,
right,
they're still going to find a way to do it their way.
It's very true.
You know,
old habits die hard.
Right.
Yep.
You tell your kid not to touch the hot stove, they'll do it anyway because they wanted to find out your idea of hot. Right?
So true. That's such a great analogy.
This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, a podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals.
That's mostly. So you're talking about, the costs of things that are going up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going
that's
up.
Always fun.
Yes, it is.
And it's not, the tariffs haven't even hit yet.
That's correct.
But there you go. There you go, guys. That's our guest today. We're going to be getting into it, all things basically entrepreneurial and entrepreneurial, but mainly multipreneurial. That's a concept. Thank you, Mr. Matt Wilson, for the badass voiceover on the front end. You heard him on the last episode where we kind of did a phoner with him. Check his podcast out at Mostly Marketing with Matt Wilson. This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast with me, Jim McCarthy, where we talk to Middle Tennessee business owners, professionals, entrepreneurs, and all sorts of people. This is a video and audio podcast. Check us out at MMTBP.com, where you can pick your poison in terms of how you want to consume us. And of course, a link is there if you want to be on the show. Fill it out. It'll ding us, and we'll reach out. And if you're a fit, we'll book you on. So this gentleman came to me by a good mutual friend named David Burke. He's been on the show as well, probably about a year ago. He and I shared a cigar afterwards in a very chilly afternoon. And he's a fellow drummer. And he owns Roof Max, I think, still. I'm not sure if he still does he?
That's correct.
But he was a part of my B&I, and he says, man, you got to talk to this guy, Mr. Jason Wenth with Dozer Dudes.
That's it.
Catchy
name.
Yeah.
Dozer
it really does stick
Dudes.
out. Because you even like your business card. It's like a very... I'm holding it up to the camera.
There you go.
It's memorable. I've seen the business card, and I think I've seen your vehicles.
Yes, we're out there.
And you haven't been doing it all that long, which means that there's a lot of money in it.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
If you have like a fleet of vehicles already,
that's it.
But I mean, that's an expensive business, dare I say, to get into, because you have to lease those machines.
You can rental, but owning's the route we went. Yeah. So we're cat heavy, big cat fans.
Cat heavy.
So, yeah.
Because typically Kubota is what? I mean, how do they rank those things? I know that you look at Chevy and GMC. GMC is typically like the luxury version of a Chevy. How do all the excavation big machines kind of lay out? What's the Chevy? What's the GMC? What's the Mercedes?
I would say in this space, probably Cat's going to be one of your upper echelons.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and there's variations of perspectives. Really, it comes down to your operators. Yeah. Generally, businesses follow what their service guys do, and as well as the operators are used to operating.
Right.
So, and then it kind of trickles down from there. There's Kubota, Bobcat. There's a lot of people in that space.
The Kubota Bobcat doesn't make the big one. They make the skid steers typically.
It can, yes. They're starting to get into bigger stuff.
Really?
So, yeah, it's interesting.
But they kind of invented the category.
True.
Like when you thought of a skid steer, it was called a Bobcat.
Bobcat, right.
Like, Xerox was to copiers.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
So they invented that category. I guess, I don't know how they started. Did they start just with a skid steer?
Yeah, in that space, yes.
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Of course, Bobcat, that was a big push for them in the mini excavation world too as well. And then Kubota was agricultural and saw the space opening up and got into that too as well. So,
well, they had Bobcat and its cousin, Robert Cat.
There you go.
That's my CSI sting.
That's it.
That's my bad dad joke kicker.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every dad's got to have a good one or two in the hip pocket.
Nobody seems to laugh when I make the Robert Cat joke, especially on iHeart Spring Hill. They'll talk about, we saw a Bobcat, and I'm like, well, you didn't, at least didn't see a Robert Cat.
Yeah. But it's it.
So CAT is like the Mercedes.
Yeah. Yeah. They're big on service. That's
Right.
a big deal for us. They've got a service fleet. They've been fantastic. They're great. They've been great to us. We use Thompson Machinery here locally, and
Not about, I don't know, mile and a half away from
yeah,
here, right?
yeah, their new location. So, and they're expanding, which is good. That helps with support for us.
Yeah.
We've got a dozer. We've got 2 excavators, 310 excavators. We've got 2 skid steers in fleet that are both outfitted for mulching too as well, forestry. So we do a lot of different things.
Now, this is your background.
No, actually,
Really?
surprisingly enough.
Don't tell me like you were a CPA or something.
No, that was my dad. I was in management.
Mm-hmm.
I started Best Buy, then went from there to Starbucks, recruited to Starbucks, and then got into Chick-fil-A of all places.
Did you say you started Best Buy?
No, I started in Best Buy.
In Best
I wish
Buy.
I started
I was
Best
about
Buy.
to say.
Yeah, no kidding.
I heard I
was
started
young
Best
when
Buy.
yeah, that's it. I started in Best Buy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Were you done managing there?
Yes.
What was your first? I mean, did you have a background in construction and as a teenager or anything like that?
Lawn care landscaping, actually.
Okay.
So that was
makes
kind
sense.
of the dirt stuff
Right.
there, creating. And then 2019, actually my family and I moved up here in 2017, my wife and 5 kids from Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area, moved up here and was in sales.
Interesting place to come from.
Yeah.
To Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Tennesseans, I think, are probably wanting to move to Texas. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Although it feels like today everybody's moving to Tennessee. So
It does.
yeah, which is good for us.
It is good.
Yeah.
It's challenging because of the infrastructure issues that we have around here.
Welcome to Spring Hill.
I know. Spring Hill, Nolensville, where you are out in Fairview, it's going to be that way.
Yep.
Columbia, Lewisburg, I think are going to be the next big. Columbia's had a nice little renaissance as of the last decade or so.
Yep.
And I always kind of knew that getting into moving when we lived here. We moved here in 2005.
Okay.
And I always said Columbia was like New Milford, Connecticut to us, which was at the time kind of very in the sticks.
Yeah.
And not exactly a desirable place to go, but it's come a long way since. But I knew it back then and I should have bought land.
Yeah.
Based on our experience with New Milford, Connecticut, because when we grew up, that's how Columbia was when we moved here. It was kind of in the sticks, people ate mayonnaise sandwiches and it was undesirable to go. It was in the country.
Right. Right.
It wasn't New Fairfield. And then over time, over the next 20 years before we moved, New Milford became really bougie.
Yeah.
And it is really bougie now.
Suburbs.
Oh, we were in the suburbs.
Right.
Like we were where we grew up, like middle lower Fairfield County it's a suburb of New York.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Similar to, I guess, some of the towns around Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yep. Absolutely.
Which is a massive area.
Oh my gosh. That's why I like the hills around here. It protects.
It's flat out there, right?
Yeah, it is. Very flat.
But I mean, all the construction that we have going on here, like this road, Buckner, where we are.
Yeah.
It's been going on, it feels like my entire life.
Forever.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is like a weekend job in Texas. Right.
Right. Yep. Although it's outdated the next day. So that's the problem, but that's okay.
We got a turn lane that's right. Still congested.
Yeah. Right.
But whatever.
Anyways. Yeah.
Or, like the new June Lake interchange that they put in. That's, bottlenecks between Saturn Parkway and June Lake for maybe an eighth of a mile.
You could almost put a drive-through in the median and serve stuff. So yeah.
Why did you do it that way? Put the freaking lane in for.
But there's a plan, and then there's
right.
Then there's all kinds of fun things coming new to the area too. Well, we've got let's see. I think my wife mentioned something about a outlet shopping center. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, in the southeastern portion of 840 and 431.
Yeah,
yeah. Because we've got plenty of infrastructure for that too.
Yeah, it'll more work for me, I guess. Right?
Hey,
we'll take it.
I mean, do you get a lot of state work?
No, haven't gotten into that space yet. So yeah, I hope to like one day.
Good old boys club kind of thing?
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
Can be. You submit like everybody else. And obviously if you don't have any connection in that space, it can be, tough, but And what's interesting enough, what I've grown to love about this, and Tennessee seems to be this way too. Everything's relational, connections, those types of things, which is great for an entrepreneurial person, much like myself. It creates a lot of opportunity to meet new people, have new challenges in those spaces. Right. So, yeah. So we're kind of working our way up. We started very, very small and started working our way up. And actually, we started as a property development company. So we would just buy raw land and develop it, do gentleman farms, 15-acre plus.
Did you do that in Dallas?
Actually, I did not. This is all Tennessee now. So
what were you doing in Dallas? I mean,
my last, I resigned. I was the director of operations for a brand new Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
And worked with a franchise operator and never really saw my family and knew there was a change that needed to happen and resigned my position. Took about 2 weeks. Then I got a phone call from a friend of ours that lives out here. At the time, they had a company that was growing, needed some help. So I jumped on board. And fast forward to 2019, when something happened in this world, it befuddles me. It starts with a C.
The pandemic?
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, something. So anyways,
pandemic.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's what it was. Pandemic. Yeah. So that happened. And at the time I was working full time in a 100% commission job. And a friend of mine who I met at church, he was starting this company. It started as literally a buy a home and flip. Yeah. And then grew to raw land, and he had needed desperately to have help. And so we put a subdivision in. So I started on a skid steer, and within 2 weeks I was running a dozer, and it was a blast. So I had a great time.
Let me get this straight. You had no experience prior to this.
No.
In Dallas, you have a lot of managerial kind of white collar work.
Correct.
And then you move here. The 100% commission job was what?
That was brokering construction equipment, like aerial equipment, skid steers, things of that nature.
So a little bit of understanding of the equipment.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So were you able to play in them at that point?
No,
really?
Never touched one.
I was let you, or you just didn't want to?
No, I just didn't have any interest.
Okay.
Because that obviously, because we were brokering transactions all over the United States.
Right.
We didn't really have, very little do we have fleet and space
access
or anything.
To inventory.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Physical access.
So, yeah.
So you get here, you have an opportunity. You the brokering thing. How was that kind of what kind of gig was that? Was it good? Was it fun? Did you enjoy it?
I learned a lot. I experienced again another notch in the belt. The way it was designed. It was cold calling. Now the company had been around since this late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
So it was established, which helped tremendously.
Right.
And I had contacts in several states. I actually managed 9 states and would basically call in and speak with their sales managers or rental rep, fleet managers, or things of that nature, and then find out what they have available to sell and help them sell it.
Right.
So that's kind of how that was. So it was a lot of phone work, a lot of emails, primarily so did a bunch of cold calling.
A lot of prospecting.
A lot of mining. Yeah. So I learned a lot about, communication and follow up and executing on things. When you're managing things from a distance, it can create space for problems, as well as you've got to develop a relationship over the phone. Yeah. And if the product doesn't show up right, then you have to manage that piece too as well. So,
which is it when you can't see or put hands on something and you're selling something you've never seen.
Right.
Yeah, that can be a challenge.
Yeah. So I grew a lot in that space. So that was a lot of fun, not without its challenges.
First sales gig?
So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, 100% sales. I spent some time in Best Buy. Right. And then grew straight into management pretty quickly. So it just taught people how to, and really it comes down to the art of just communication, finding a need and coming up with some kind of solution for that need.
I sold a Honda and Mercedes for a season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, those are two spectrums there.
And it's funny, a lot of people would think that Honda was very easy to sell and Mercedes would be a challenge. I mean, it was a challenge in learning the lines of the cars and the different levels of the trims and nomenclatures. And there's such a wide variety of options you can get.
Right.
But let me tell you, it was an easy sale.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
The people came in, they knew what they wanted.
Looking for it.
Yeah. They're all like, plus 740 beacons. They can afford anything.
Right.
And
that helps.
It was almost like order taking.
Yeah, well, that's good.
You still had to apply salesmanship.
Of course.
And stuff, but
of course.
Yeah.
Be there, answer the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, even just talking to them and overcoming objections, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's big.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I had a good time with it.
Yeah, that's great. That is a good experience. So cut the teeth in that world.
So you're doing this, and then a buddy calls you, says, "Hey, I need help doing this."
Yeah.
Flipping properties.
Yeah. So we got into that space and grew from there. We sold 2 different developments. There was about 17 properties that was sold actually in Williamson County. And so we built those, put the roads in, did the site utilities like the electrical underground communication, and built some relationships in that world from material, as well as at the time we were just renting a bunch of equipment.
Right.
And from there, after those sales, the opportunity was to buy more land. So we bought more land. And at the time I was basically nights and weekends because I'm still working my other full-time job.
Right.
And then
brokering the equipment.
Yeah, brokering the equipment. Yep. Mm-hmm. So I was doing that. And then
so you left Texas because you knew you had more time with your family to come here and not have time with your family.
Yeah. That's what it turned out to be. It's all about putting food on the table. Right. So doing whatever it takes.
And your kids see that.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
You're not playing video games.
No, definitely not. So So that's part of learning, part of the adventure of it. So that there's always a dream to get to that point. But I'm in a good spot now. We've of course been successful in that space. And during that time, my phone started blowing up from the neighbors, people that were buying the property and needing people to do work. And so thus the creation of Dozer Dudes.
So backing up real quick. So in the planning and development of these communities, you would take a piece of land,
correct,
have to, lay out your plots where the houses are going to go, plan for the infrastructure, the streets, the street lights, all the things.
Correct.
That's harrowing, especially for somebody who's never done it before, but you did it under somebody who's been doing it for a season.
Correct. But still raw.
Yeah.
Because that was their first adventure at it too. So it was a little bit of trial and error.
Yeah.
So
that's jumping out of the airplane and building the parachute on the way down.
On the way down. Yeah. But it was again, that's the adventure side of that, learning new things every single day.
You have to like that adventure. Yeah. Because every day can be a nightmare.
It's true. Especially if a machine breaks down or a hose is spewing out at you or
you hit a pipe.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't forget that. So, or what was it? 2020 when we had the land hurricane through here, that was the straight line winds. I believe that was 2020.
That was March.
Yeah.
That was the tornado that came through downtown Nashville into Mount Juliet.
Yeah. So it was blowing trees down where we were at. And so I was in an excavator putting trees out of the way so we could get out. So that was a fun experience.
So 2017, you're here. You're able to get into, like you said, a skid steer, moving up to a bulldozer.
Right.
And you're just figuring it out.
Correct.
Because that stuff it's a talent to operate those.
Absolutely true. And any operator listening to this, by no means was I an expert. And fortunately, I have built a team of experts. I mean, they say it all the time. It's in the seat. And at the time I was putting in 50 hours a week in a seat.
Right.
And doing the same thing and over and over. And repetition is huge in that space. And so that was tremendous help. But by no means would I say I'm an expert, but it was a lot of fun.
Right.
A lot of fun.
Well, it's, I guess, what a lot of guys do that for is it's like playing a video game, I would think.
In a sense, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You ever see the guys that take them, they do like all these different challenges with excavators, like climbing walls with them.
Yeah. Or going down hills or all YouTube's gone crazy with those kinds of things.
Right.
Good and bad.
Yeah. like the guys that try to load them onto boats.
Right.
Yeah. With 2 wooden planks from a dock.
Right.
It's typically like a country in India or Indonesia or something like that.
Yeah.
And they get the boat on the excavator on the boat. And it's like, you're just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
Eventually the whole thing goes right into the drink.
Right. Yeah. Not fun.
I saw it with a I guess a small steamroller. the other day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You have to
He got
send
it
that
on the
over.
boat, and then all of a sudden started moving the boat, the steamroller back and forward and back, to, I guess, to get balance or get it more on the boat.
Yeah.
And because he created that rocking motion, it just, dude,
That was it.
You're done.
That was it.
Yeah. Just
In,
get off
in the
that
drink you went.
thing. In the drink. It's
So
like, how
true.
do you get something like that out of the water? I guess you got to get
Yeah.
an excavator.
Yeah. Or a crane. Then those are all things that are not budgetary items in
Right.
a project for sure.
What's the, I mean, everybody in any business, especially going into something, you getting out of something, there had to be some sort of, I mean, can I ask how old you are?
I'm 45.
Okay. So
Yeah.
right around that time, 2017, I have a theory that between the ages of 37 and 42, we kind of go through shifts in life. And,
Something like that.
Right. So you came out of a season in your life where you were very white collar doing, the things that you were doing in Texas, into yet another white collar job,
Right.
transitioning into this blue collar job, which
Correct.
really kind of jived with you because it was probably so vastly different than anything else you've ever done. And then you still have, I remember at that time for me becoming an entrepreneur, I settled back into the things that I was good at. I was a rock star with recording audio and voiceover and video production, some podcasting at that point. It hadn't
Okay.
really taken off yet for me,
Yeah.
based on all my time I had in radio. But we also had another business that was getting into all things lighting, doing LED lighting conversions. And some of them involved doing underground work and putting in light poles for apartment complexes, and just some of the things that would pop up.
Yeah.
Like it was one particular apartment complex up in Nashville that we had priced for all the material, what we perceived as hired subcontracted labor,
Correct.
only to find out that, this is why you call before you dig.
Right.
That we were on
811, by the way.
right.
Yeah. Got that one on speed dial.
There was an undisclosed merging of utilities
Wow.
underneath the spot, like you can only hand dig.
So
That's what it's like.
jackpot.
Oh, gosh.
Jackpot.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we had to have that conversation with the client to get an extra, I don't know,
Yeah.
several $1,000s.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. Yeah. There's a phrase I use all the time when I'm talking to our customer base. When you're in the commercial industry, you definitely understand. And people that are moving to this area, or people that are moving out of Nashville to get a place because they're settling down, the conversation I have to come up is a lot is just remembering, like, once I scratch the surface, it's different if you're in raw land where it's maybe those utilities haven't made it out there yet.
Right.
But even still, there's something called rock
Yeah.
that could propose a very big problem.
That's the reason why we don't do light pole installations, pole-based digging
Yes.
anymore. We had a couple of jobs as what we do here.
Okay.
And again, you do what you have to do to keep gas in the tank.
Absolutely.
We
Yeah.
had a pole-based job.
Division.
Yeah. In a subdivision
Yeah.
that they forgot to put the poles in. So they were putting them in after the fact, which required
Yikes.
trenching under driveways that have just been poured. There was no cutting into them, nothing. And the electrical co-op down there it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
48 inches down for a 12-foot high pole.
Right.
Like, are you serious?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
But so you got to,
Because they're preparing for act of God stuff.
right.
Yeah. Something
On
like
a 12-foot pole.
that. Right.
So they, that's where you learn two important words: rock claws.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's so true.
Yeah.
It's in everything.
Yeah.
Especially if you go on the other side of 65 towards our friends in Murfreesboro or Mount Juliet.
Big time.
Man, it is. We've only tippy-toed out there. I've been very strategic on, we'll really go anywhere, but out there I generally involve a somebody to actually engineer. And
We paid for many a perk test on that side of the highway.
So true.
Because
so true.
that's what you got to do. And I was talking to a developer around that time. I said, we found a good piece of land. It's just hopefully it perks. He's like, you can get anything to perk. I'm like, yeah, of course. If you have dynamite and enough friggin' money.
Famous last words. Right? Yeah, so true. Yeah.
So you're familiar with that side of, because you don't see too much development on that side of 65.
Right.
Which is interesting because is 65 truly the dividing line?
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's so true. It happens. We do a lot of projects down in Colombia too as well. And the closer we get to 65,
Really?
It's amazing. So how phenomenal, or underneath topsoil, what happens underneath topsoil.
Well, and how much, what is it? Granite or what kind of rock?
It's like shale rock. There's some other variations out there too as well. But
right.
So.
Well, that, I kind of told you a nightmarish scenario that happened to us many, many years ago.
Yeah.
What was one that comes to mind? When you're like, why am I doing this?
Yes. Well, I think we did really well on one job, which are two stories from that one job that happened. So we had 811 come out, mark out the site utilities. It was right along a busy road. It's actually a state highway road. And we were looking to expand an area for a particular customer's putting in multiple driveways, one to his daughter's house that he'll be building out on his property. He bought like 60 acres. So I had 811 come out and do a very long stretch along this busy road. And they were marking it, did a great job, fantastic. Response time was great. And so they marked us out. So we were digging to put a culvert crossing and to put rock over it, because there was a swell ditch that catches all the water runoff from the road. And my excavator was there, and I'm in the middle of the field mapping out some things, and I look back over and there's a geyser coming out of the ground, and it was a water main. That was, technically water mains are supposed to be a minimum of 2 feet deep on average.
Right.
This was 6 inches below the surface.
Oh my gosh.
So that was a surprise. Fortunately, I had the 811, the utility company came out. They actually dug up a huge area and lowered it. So that was great. But that was a fun surprise because everybody was showered. Fortunately, it was summer.
Yeah.
I told the guys to get their swim trunks out and have fun with it. That didn't go over too well with them.
That was one of those things that at least we have the coverage of 811.
Of course.
And, hey, it's on them.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And then in that same project, we were digging for same type setup, and we had to cut into, because the ridge, there's about a 2.5 foot cut to cut this driveway through. And we were digging through there. And of course the guys were spooked after the water incident.
Yeah.
And we were digging along, and surprise, we start seeing a yellow pipe, which, by the way, pipes. Yes, gas. Well,
what kind of gas is it? Natural?
Okay. Yeah. So that's gas main line. Yeah. So great. We found it. It was 6.5 feet outside where it was marked.
Yeah.
So, 811, again, tried and true, always use it, but be careful when you're around utility areas. The easement off of a road like that could be up to 25 feet. Oh my God. So you got to be super careful where you're digging. Fortunately, no bad stories from that one. We didn't have any geysers or anything from that sense, but it definitely, that project, we did a lot of shoveling at that point.
Hand digging.
Yep, hand digging.
Right over here, as we're, watching all this construction on Buckner.
Right.
Every now and then, I think one of my guys came, he's like, "Hey, do you smell propane?" I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of do. Is the stove on?" He goes, "No, everything's off." I go, "Well, where's it coming?" He's like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
And turns out right over here, they hit something.
Yeah.
And it's like, nobody light anything up.
Yep.
But I mean, our electric's been cut. I think our water's been, they've done all the things down there.
Yes. So. Yeah. It's a fun world. It's a thankless job. Most people don't like construction.
Right.
But
a lot easier with the machines, though.
Of course. Yeah, definitely.
It makes it more palatable.
Of course. And the evolution of that world of space. So if you're ever driving out there and you're in a construction space, slow down, pay attention.
Right.
And then if they're digging around you, just be patient. The good thing is somebody will always come and fix it if there's an error. Usually we don't like making errors because that's cost involved, but those things do happen.
It's cost involved in time because someone has to go through all the minutia.
Of course,
of
there's
insurance
layers.
and bureaucracy and all that stuff.
That's very true.
So
that's very true.
You basically, you started the company out of just, hey, this is something we can do and it would benefit our company, but we can also have other revenue streams come from it.
Absolutely.
So a lot of like multipreneurial elements going on.
Yeah.
This for the first time in your life being, you were, that was 2017. So that was 8 years ago?
Yeah.
So you were 37.
Right.
So what was that? That was your first foray into full-time entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But with partners.
Yeah. With partners. Yes. Yeah. It was quite an experience. Again, just, doing everything from purchasing, getting, fortunately, I have two amazing partners that were aligned in lockstep, lots of conversations. Anything entrepreneurial comes with risks. Everybody knows that out there.
Even if you were working for somebody, you're at risk.
Yep. That's so true. So true. So yeah, it was super challenging. Well, I think, you had mentioned earlier, moving from white collar to a blue collar. Yeah. I think I've always been entrepreneurial minded. And so this was something that was significant for me to take all of that managerial experience. Because my first business where I ever started was back in Texas. I was mowing my neighbor's yards. Right. And that grew to be 140 clients at 16 years old. So nice. Yeah, there was at the core, I think that entrepreneurial was, generating in there for a long time. And so it finally made its way out.
Why'd you stop?
I think insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously being in those spaces and having insurance and having the stability when my family's growing. Right. And those things.
How long did you have the lawn business though? Till when?
So I bought and I started that when I was 9. I sold it once. That was I was about 27 at the time. Okay. And then relocated. My family and I relocated and started up again, a smaller one, sold it again, and then full on into the retail space and those types of things. I was full on, in my 30s.
Just kind of got tired
late 20s and 30s.
Smelling 30s. like grass clippings.
Yes. Yeah.
The funny thing is that everything goes smoothly, something that keeps me busy in my semi-retired years, I'd really enjoy.
Yeah.
I'd love mowing. I enjoy mowing lawns.
Yeah.
There's something cathartic about it.
Absolutely. We call it our therapy sessions. We've got some properties. We actually have a farm down in Numley that we're developing currently right now. Our parent company is, and that's got 800 acres. So we have a tractor and then we've got 2 zero turns. And so therapy sessions with podcasts, that's frequent in my world. Now I have sons that help me with it too. That helps too as well. So we'll go out and mow for 2-3 days and yeah, it's fun.
800 acres in 2-3 days. It's about how long it takes.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot longer than that, but at least the zero turn mowing takes about that long.
60-inch commercial deck, or can you 70, go larger? 70.
Yeah, so we had to go bad boy 70 inches. What we
the
have.
Bad Boy mower brand.
Yes, that's correct.
That's an interesting. We were looking around when we got this property for zero turn mowers at one point, and it was interesting to see A, how much they are, right, and B, how many different varieties. And it's like I'd never heard of this Bad Boy before, but it was pretty badass. Yeah, it's great product. Yeah, great product. But the American way, we have to have options. Right. So there's definitely a lot of options in that space for sure. So so it's been it's been an adventure, not without its bumps and bruises. I've had to develop relationships with other businesses, builders in the builder space, general contractors. We work with a company out of Spring Hill that does engineering design and started working with them. That was recent. A company here locally? Yeah. Which one is it? So Premier Design Build. Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Craker. Guys. Oh, yeah. He's been on this podcast. Yeah. Saw him this morning at my B&I. There you go. He visited. Yeah. So that's a great group. They've got a lot of cool projects they're doing. That's kind of helping us kind of get into the commercial space too as well and building those relationships. Well, maybe you need to visit my B&I next week. Yeah. Oh, we'll have to talk about that offline and we'll get you an invite.
Sounds good.
Yeah, because we don't have any excavators in the group.
There you go.
And there's a lot of commercial influence in the group.
Okay. Excellent.
We'd be able to help nurture that side of your business.
Yeah.
But moving forward, you had, what kind of challenges are you facing these days? You know, in the beginning of the podcast, we talked about material costs skyrocketing.
Yeah. So material cost is a big deal in this space. Obviously, to be able to do anything, underground utilities, even down to just everyday maintenance of the machines. It's on all factors. It's the costs are significantly increased. Rock too as well. Of course, fuel is fluctuating. Mm-hmm. So those are things that when you're projecting and doing, especially in the commercial space, or even for somebody that's buying land, that's getting bids for a construction loan, you have to be super creative to remind customers that that industry doing things from, lumber, any of those type of material base to do something, the fluctuation
prices
in
are
the
subject to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Much like rock claws, right? You've got material costs.
Did you learn that lesson the hard way by not saying that, setting that expectation?
Oh yes, most definitely. School of hard knocks. They're out there, but I think I've been really blessed to meet a lot of people in this space, what you would call competition. Yeah. But I feel like there's enough for us out here for everybody. And I love to learn from other people, learn from mistakes, so anytime I come across somebody that's in this space, in this world, I always try to do what I can to help them out, support them if they need it, as well as whether it be subcontracting or even if it's just a contact or a referral into the space, because just as much as material costs and other things, it's also competitive. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, there are people out there too as well that will hear about a project and you get to talking about it. I learned this actually last year. There was a project that we were doing a bidding on, and I called a company that they did some things that we didn't do. So I was going to hire them to subcontract out for that, and found out from the project manager from that project, they contacted them directly and was trying to outbid me for the project. So that's still out there.
One surefire way to ruin a relationship.
Yeah. So true. So I think honesty and transparency, I grew up around that. My mom and dad instilled that in me. I'm teaching my kids on that. It's super important. I can only control what I can control, and I only know what I know. And that's part of the bumps and bruises of being out there in this world. But so far it's been very rewarding. Well,
there is a book up on the shelf called The Hard Way.
Yeah.
By Mr. Brad Lee, who's been a guest of the podcast several times. He comes here to town. He has a company out in Vegas that does virtual training, but he's kind of one of these online business gurus. By every right, he can be.
Yeah.
But he wrote a book so other business owners don't have to go through the hard way.
Yeah.
But I always contest with him that, look, dude, no matter how many times you tell people what to do,
right,
they're still going to find a way to do it their way.
It's very true. Old habits die hard.
Right.
Yep.
You tell your kid not to touch the hot stove, they'll do it anyway because they wanted to find out your idea of hot. Right?
So true. That's such a great analogy.
But I mean, that's how people learn. It's that hands-on, tactile experience.
Yep.
I'll never do that again because I remember that pain.
Yeah.
Being told about the pain is a lot different.
So true. Yeah. Butts in my world, butts in the seat. That's your time. That's how you're going to learn. That's how you learn to create and get more efficient, as well as it's been quite a journey and very, very, I'm learning, again, I've mentioned this before, learning something new every day, and can't do it without the hardworking people that work with me every day.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for that.
Well, a lot of that is going, like someone asking you what your favorite song or movie is, right? And it's a hard question to answer because it's so subjective to where you are in life at the time.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what's your favorite machine to operate?
Ooh, that's
right.
Yeah.
Because I'd imagine it probably fluctuates.
It does. It does. Depending on the project. I'm a big fan of the Dozer.
Yeah.
I do.
Just the sheer power.
Sheer power and just cultivating things and doing those things. That's a lot of fun.
Well, with a skid steer, you're kind of in a Dozer, just on a smaller scale.
Yeah, smaller scale. Yeah. That's very true. If I'm doing things around trees or those types of things, again, each you have a tool for the job, but dozers, there's nothing better than a dozer. So sitting high up and just going to town.
Well, tell me you have a YouTube channel.
I wish.
Well, I mean, you should probably.
I need to think about it.
Yeah. You got the dang name. Get the channel going.
Yeah.
We're called Dozer Dudes YouTube and start making videos.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Or hire a company
TBD
like ours to do the videos for you.
There you go.
Because you guys are swimming in cash, I'm sure. Excavation.
Well, right now we're swimming in rain, but yeah.
Have you heard about the new development over here that's going in, the Firefly?
Yes.
Yeah. What's news? Anything new on that you've heard?
Not recently. So
we have property that's about 100 yards south of it.
Okay.
That's where we're looking. Well, we're building.
Right.
But it's pretty cool because we found out about it after we bought the property. We had no idea.
Wow.
We were in the zoning meeting that they decided to make it zoned appropriately for what they want to do. That's when we found out about it.
Yeah.
We're like, cool.
Yeah, that'll be great. And that obviously will do a lot for your land there.
Hopefully. That's the idea.
It will.
What is is there a way to get in that for you, or is that kind of all preordained? Or
no, it's again, relationships, everything in that space. You can cold call into that space. You can show up. You can obviously, once they announce it, a lot of the engineers and those firms and these that you could contact, a lot of times they use their own outfit to turnkey do it all. There's bigger outfits out there, Jones Brothers and such.
Does Lee Company do excavating?
No.
Really?
Well, they do, and they're plumbing and electrical, and they do on the commercial side of things, but that's more specialized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a company like the Lee Company of Connecticut was a company that I worked for. That's how I learned a lot of the electrical trade.
Okay.
Back in my 20s and before I got into radio. It was called the Rizzo Corporation up in Danbury, and they were all like the tri-state area, the go-to guys. They serviced the state of Connecticut. They were the union shop.
Yeah.
And I worked for the non-union shop, which was basically under the same umbrella of these companies.
Wow.
But a separate company.
But a separate.
Yeah.
Air quotes.
Yeah, separate company.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, the guy who started the company was Anthony Rizzo from Italy.
Wow.
And had that immigrant mindset. Rumor has it when one of his kids were born or was being born, he was out on a telephone pole somewhere.
Wow.
Getting work done. Making sure there was food on the table.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. I don't know the validity to that story,
right.
But they became kind of like what Lee is to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm not sure I don't remember if they actually had like an excavating unit. I'm sure they have had big machines and such.
Yeah.
But man, the job, they would do some big jobs.
Yeah.
State work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Contracts, those types of things. So hopefully, I think the big thing for us is making sure we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. We like to make sure that we deliver beyond expectations and
within your capabilities.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Because that's a big, I've been in that situation with other people in a business that in a meeting, oh yeah, we can do that. And you're going,
really?
Can? That sounds like we're biting off a lot more than we can chew here.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's out there now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those situations typically didn't end well.
Right. So. Right. Yeah. Just take it in small portions and doses and continue to grow. And that's what we're looking to do.
Well, I feel like you kind of have the inside track on what's happening around here. What should we know? Anything?
Anything secret?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, give us a scoop.
Any dirt?
Yeah. What's the dirt?
What's the dirt out there?
You could almost have a podcast yourself. Man.
What's under the dirt?
No,
right?
that's, Dozer Dudes and a national, appeal podcast for guys that are in that business.
In that space. Yeah. It'd be fun.
Storytelling.
Yeah. Storytelling.
Yeah.
Time in the seat. Yeah. I just, it all comes back around to that. So, but, dirt. I can't say that most of the stuff that I know is a little further out from here. So, but I do know there's a Bucky's coming soon.
To where? I know Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be one on the other side. So that's obviously east side. There's one coming on the
west side.
West side.
Off of 840?
It's super. Yeah, I can't say that yet.
Yes, you can. You can totally say that.
Yeah, because the world's not listening.
Right. Go ahead. So you're pretty much saying it anyway.
Yeah, well, it's out in the West. That's it. Well, I want to be a part of putting it in.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's super cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Another reason to go out and get fat.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
or beaver nuggets.
Damn it. Oh man.
Is it going to be more towards your part of the county?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That's a big job.
It's a world in itself.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, there's a lot of growth happening in the northeast side, obviously with Oracle coming in. And so that's a big deal. And then there's rumors down South Columbia, Lewisburg area for some big projects going in down there.
You also have just to the south of us, rumors of another airport going in.
Yeah.
And Amazon-sized distribution center buildings.
Yes.
Yes. Like Amazon distribution center-sized buildings, I should say.
Yeah, it's true. Because out in Mount Juliet, they're struggling to get stuff because of the sheer amount of growth that's happening in footprint in Spring Hill and in Columbia. They're hurting. So they're wanting to put in something new down there to help support that community. And then a Costco too.
Where? Here? Is it going in that?
No, it's a little south from us.
Where's it going to go?
So it's northern part of Columbia.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what's the?
Yeah, right off of 31 down near Spring Hill High School, down in that area. Now that's not proposed,
Neapolis.
but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's rumors again, just rumor mills. But I think that's going to happen too as well.
Well, at least they have the that's a good size road to accommodate the traffic.
Yes.
2 lanes in either direction.
Yeah.
Appropriate, median cuts throughs, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Turnaround lanes.
And then you've got, Saturn Parkway and
right.
Of course there's the new tennis complex and there's also going to be a pickleball.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Are you familiar with Port Royal coming up through Burtonwood and
yes.
Haynes Crossing?
Yes.
Would you believe the Kroger was once I have a video of it I took back in 2005.
Wow.
I put a video camera on my dashboard and we were living up in Brentwood in an apartment while our house was being built down here.
Okay.
So I just, wanted to send video wasn't a thing yet in terms of how it is so pervasive with YouTube now.
Of course.
I just did it for, posterity to look back on someday.
Yeah.
I put my video camera on top of the dashboard in my car and just took it from getting off the Port Royal exit on Saturn Parkway, going up north Port Royal into the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I believe at that time, Buckner wasn't even connected to itself.
Wow.
So where Burtonwood and Haynes Crossing meet was a cul-de-sac.
Wow.
Would you believe that?
And we're talking 20 years ago?
20 years ago.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. There were people that bought in Burtonwood for that reason.
Yeah.
Like in that portion of the neighborhood because they didn't think it was going to be cut through.
Yep. Of course. That was probably just a few years later.
Not even.
That was it really.
I think we moved in. I think they cut it through right before we moved in.
Wow.
Yeah, they were ticked.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because Buckner became like a major cut through for everybody getting up into this area.
Yeah.
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 But in the Kroger's space was a nursery.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Wow. It was hardly anything there.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll have to show that video to you at some point.
That'd be cool to see.
Maybe we'll have to
pay some homage.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, there you go, man.
Great.
So people can reach out to you via dozerdudes.com. I don't know how in the world you got that URL.
Yeah.
So recently. But great, man. Dozerdudes.com. Everything's there.
Yeah.
Please start a YouTube channel before somebody else does.
Okay.
Yeah. Like once we're done talking, you should go do that.
Okay.
Because once this airs on Tuesday, someone's going to do it.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Get all the things Dozer Dudes. It's a
get
great
it
name.
all. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, very good, man. It was
Thank you.
good to meet you and everything.
Privilege. Thank you for your time.
How can people help you? What are you looking for? And they get to know you. What should they be on the lookout for to help you out? Commercial relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. In that space, looking to grow, connect. Also looking for people. Looking for people that are willing to learn and to grow and be in the space. So
nice.
Yeah, always looking for talent.
Talent, I guess. Yeah. Okay, that's a good topic as well. Yeah. Is there a premium on talent because have people been nurturing the next generation of talent in that space?
No.
Really?
Correct.
Same thing. So like you're lumped in with all the rest of the trades then?
Absolutely.
Is it because they're just not being introduced to it? Because one would have to wonder, a lot of people like overcomplicate, for example, getting into the electrical field.
Right.
I tell them, just go apply at electrical houses as an apprentice.
Right.
They'll take you on if you show up and you're eager and you're willing, and they'll show you how to do the trade. They'll probably even pay for your schooling and how all your courses to get the licensing.
Yep.
If you show up, if you work hard and you just put in your time.
Yes.
That's 90% of it, dude. Right. That's all you have to do.
That's 101 in a nutshell.
Right.
And unfortunately in this space, I've actually had, it's a pain in our industry.
Yeah.
And unfortunately there's a lot of the younger generation that shows up, gets a few paychecks, and then that's it.
Really?
That's it.
Is it because, because there is an element of hazing that happens similar to the car business. If you have it all comes down to culture. Even when you're talking about a different generation these days than when I did it too. I think we had a much thicker skin back then.
Right.
But I didn't really take too much guff off of people because I had a previous experience working with my dad in the trades.
Right.
Low voltage, phone cable, things of that nature. So getting into the electrical trade, you'd work as long as you just anticipated the need of the lead guy and knew what tool he was going to need next, that kind of thing.
Right.
You could get past the hazing phase.
Right.
In the car business, you experience that a lot. They kind of shoot themselves in the foot with the way they treat people coming into the car business, because to be fair to the management, you're not sure if this person's there for a job or a career.
Right.
Are they here for the long haul or just want a paycheck?
Yeah.
That's got to get frustrating, and you can't help but perpetuate the cycle of hazing,
right,
if you will.
Yeah, it's people.
Yeah.
It's people serving people. It's giving and showing up and giving the support you need. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people showing up in that space that have watched YouTube or done those things, and they feel like they're showing up as an expert,
right,
because they've seen it, they've experienced it. But unfortunately in this space, it
only vicariously.
Yeah. But there's a confidence. I was interviewing someone recently that same deal. Like, I've got experience in this world. Okay, well, talk to me. Well, I've watched these videos. I've seen this. I had a friend that was in this space, and it's crazy.
I've played Excavator Simulator.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Although, dude, I will tell you, if I ever find myself in a position to have to land a jumbo jet, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to.
Yeah. Me with farming, there's some great agricultural fun.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's a tough, major concern in this industry. And so if like you said before and mentioned it, and those things that were instilled in me and I'm trying to instill in my kids, like showing up on time, which by the way, that's not on time. It's late. If you're supposed to be there at 7, you need to be there at 6:45. Just simple things. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. All these things that, unfortunately, Mary, that's a rabbit hole in itself, but
it really is.
Yeah, if you're wanting to learn, it's a super rewarding. One of the coolest things about this, yes, there's some mundaneness to it, but you get to create, and that's a really cool side of this, that you're able to create and do things in this space, in this world, and provide services for people. It makes it super rewarding at the end of the day.
Yeah. I'm still seeing Dozer Dudes, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, where even you're featuring highlights from the internet, because you got a lot of people out there that are having fun with what they do,
Right.
Especially in those spaces. In the electrical space, you have there's a lot of women actually that have made huge brands, have huge followings. You know, they're not bad to look at, you know, but they're capable and very skilled. They'll put a camera on them and do like a time lapse of them changing on a panel,
Right.
which is typically a day-long job, or maybe pulling in a big service for something.
Right.
And, you know, they're showing exactly how they cut the wires. And I can watch that stuff like it's
All day
fascinating,
long.
because it's an art. It really is an art.
It is.
You know, to go to see a panel that's cut down and properly with the wires being put where they need to go and planned out meticulously, it is an art form.
Yes.
You know, I was showing that to my son. We were walking in a parking garage this past weekend, and there was EMT coming down the ceiling, wrapping around a pillar to get to EV chargers.
Wow.
And I looked at that, and I used to do that kind of work,
Right.
bending pipe and everything.
Right.
I stopped, and he followed me over, and I said, look at that. Which he has no idea what I'm looking at. I said, look at how they were able to get this around and had to bend it in a certain way. They're not even 90s. They're 45s that wrap around to the other side of the corner of this pillar. And I said, that's skill.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I don't really get it. I said, I know, because you've never done it.
Right.
But if you're in the field with those pipe benders, you know how much pipe you have to go through to get that kind of stuff done?
Yeah. It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And you don't know until you do it. And it's so important with those people in my space, in the space you're referring to, to be able to have the time and have the support from the ownership level. I mean, because that's the other piece is obviously everything is, all about execution and time, and because it's money, right? But you've got to somehow create space in that time for them to be able to show you how to do something. And those people that are experienced in this place, to show how it's done. And it's, once you get in it, it's like I mentioned, it's very rewarding. And I think in the long run, people will find more opportunity in that space. Trades, you mentioned that too before. It's that whole industry. We're in a crash course here not too long. So hopefully we don't crash. So
for one of the podcasts I produced, the Try That in a Small Town podcast, trythatinasmalltown.com. We've been trying to get Mike Rowe as a guest.
Oh, wow.
It's a higher profile podcast. There's clout there that will be able to attract him at some point and get him in the studio. But I love the fact that he's been a champion for trades. Yeah. And reintroducing people to the concept, getting the schools to, and people that aren't wired for college,
right.
Or other things that, the world is telling them. Because I mean, back when I went to school, I bring this up all the time in the podcast. If you don't go to college, you're not going to succeed in life. You're going to be a loser. Yeah. Essentially, that was what was told to us. So because I had to go the blue collar route, I always had a lower self-esteem, like, oh my gosh, but I'll never be good like them because I don't have that degree.
Right.
That's long since subsided.
Right.
But because I chose to expand my knowledge, my vocabulary, my intelligence in the fields that resonate with me.
Yeah.
Radio was one of them. So my self-esteem turned around when I became the man in that industry. Even though it was a declining industry.
Right.
I wasn't good at picking industries that were on the rise. But it's amazing that now the trades are becoming sexy again, dare I say.
Yeah.
I hope they are.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. We need them.
We need the crusade.
Yep.
Jason, you and I.
Yeah, that's it.
To go out there to job fairs and let's make the trades cool again, man.
Yeah. It's a great space.
What does that mean?
Make the trades.
MTCA, make trades cool again.
Yeah.
Let's put it on a cap.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Got some merch.
That's it.
All right.
Dozer Dudes.
I'm investing.
Do it.
Well, there you go, man. We're going to wrap things up. So
awesome.
Check out everything Jason at Dozer Dudes. If you're looking for a job or looking for somebody to scrape some land and do all that fun stuff, they got mulching, road building, chip and tar grading, pond digging. All that fun stuff. But mainly, if you're looking for a different kind of career path that's going to be fruitful, that's going to be, really fulfilling, and I guess no pun intended, fulfilling, like back, never mind.
Yeah. I'm tracking with you.
I know. And, just reach out to him because I have a feeling you're going to do it with a good, healthy, cultural focused approach.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
And
100%.
Obviously, hey, if you're coming on board because it's a job, we want somebody with more long-term outlook thinking.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
There you go. DozerDudes.com. And of course, share this episode with your friends. Anybody, if it resonated with you in those communities that it should resonate, probably in the trades communities, let them know. MMTBP.com. MMTBP.com. Jason, pleasure to talk to you, pal.
Yep. Thanks. Appreciate it.